I saw an interesting tweet, and I shared this with you guys in our pre-show chat. I'm going to just do a quick screen share. I'm not going to read through the whole thing, but I'm going to encourage people to find it. I'll drop the link to it in our Slido, and it's the story of Ryan Peterson, who's an executive for a logistics company, who did a boat tour of Long Beach, the city of Long Beach Harbor. This is the largest port structure in the US. It is a major, major port. The ports of LA and Long Beach are enormous. But what he focused on and what he highlighted is the places like where the constriction points are, where are the bottlenecks. And a really interesting thing he talked about is how there's over 100 of these giant cranes at the Port of Long Beach. And he sat there and looked at, dozens of cargo ships, container ships lined up. And he saw like 6 of these cranes running, right? 6 out of like over 100, right? And what he learned as he talked to more people and kind of explored what's going on is you have the problem of empty containers. And it's like a major bottleneck. So a chassis has this. So they take a chassis and they put the container on it, right? These intermodal containers. And then the truck leaves the port and takes it to wherever it goes from there. And in Southern California, there's actually a lot of assembly that happens. So they empty the container, right? Now they have an empty container. Well, what do you do with an empty container? Take it back to the port. Nope. Port's full. They don't have room for empty containers. Well, I can just drop it here in the lot for the yard. Nope. Regulations, you can only stack them too high. You don't have any more room for them. So there are hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of the chassis that connect to the trucks that pull the trailers that have empty containers on them, and they can't get the container off to go pick up more containers, right? So it's just this weird little bottleneck that he talked about. And it just got me thinking about this. And if we could just take a few minutes and talk about it, because we got about 6 or 7 minutes left in the show. Are we underestimating the supply chain logistics mess as a threat to the economy? Rachel?
Yeah, I mean, I guess it depends how you're thinking about it. I think yes and no. I don't think does any good to panic about it. But I don't really think there's a simple fix either. I think you have what really could only be described as sort of this perfect storm right now, because you have this just complete mess with the supply chain logistics globally right now, which out of a host of factors is somewhat being fueled by the worker shortage.
Right. Truck drivers, they can't get truck drivers, right? President Biden's talking about cutting the National Guard loose to have the military service that have these trucks start doing. It's crazy.
It's crazy. Insane. And of course, the worker shortage also has a direct impact on the economy. And then you have the inflow and outflow of goods, which is also an essential aspect of a well-functioning economy, and that is being stalled right now. So I do think it could have a significant impact. It was interesting because I did a little reading up on this, and I saw a story by CNBC, and apparently the US Chamber of Commerce did a survey of local Chamber of Commerce leaders. And according to that survey, 90% of respondents said that the labor shortages were limiting economic growth in local areas. And one of those, sort of major lags that I think we've seen that a lot of people think of is the semiconductor shortage. And the Secretary of Commerce recently said at a conference that situation in and of itself, which is just one very small part of these supply chain logistic issues, she said, this is when I feel confident saying it's not going to be fixed in a month or 2 or 6 or 12 months. And that's, again, this one very small aspect. So I think this is something that could carry on for a few years. I really hope that in the next, 6 months, we start to see a significant difference. But I don't think we should underestimate the long-term impact it could have on the economy, for sure.
Our colleague, Nick Rossalilo, was on the last hour, and we were talking about some of the semiconductor companies. And he follows that space pretty closely. And his expectations is like, that's going to take a couple years. So it's definitely concerning for those parts, but it's, in a way, it's kind of like there's a good part of the problem too, because so much of it is about demand, right?
Right. Right.
So that's the positive come out of all of this. Toby?
Yeah, I think that's right. I mean, I do have concerns. I think it gets better, but like you guys said, it's going to take a while. I'm hearing logistics companies and manufacturers and transportation companies say like the crunch we have now goes into next year, at least beyond the holidays. Some people are saying 2023, which, I mean, look, over a year, right, before it really starts to get substantially better. We don't know, but I think you need to assume it drags on past the end of the year. I think if you're a CEO and you're smart, and most of them are, let's be honest, if you're a CEO of a company, you probably are not stupid. I think they need to just accept that. I think most companies are starting to do that. They're saying like, this is our reality. How do we plan around it? How do we adapt to this? Let's just assume it's going to go on for a while and do what we need to do to continue to deliver our products and services in this environment, whatever that's going to take, right? I think for personally, for all of us as individuals, I think you might want to do your Christmas shopping early this year. I think that's one takeaway.
Yeah.
Right. Don't wait for Black Friday if you've got kids who are going to be who like to cry when they get disappointed.
Is it going to be a Black Friday? Are we actually going to see these retailers go into the black? They don't have anything to sell us.
That's a good point. It might be bad for retailers, but I think there is some stuff there, and you certainly want it to be under your tree, not under your neighbors, right? So I'm just saying, think about, or you talk about, it's not about stuff, right? It's about experience. It's about making memories. Maybe this is the year that you introduce that concept to your kids, because who knows? Kidding aside, I think. Within our own households, you make the assumption that this is going to be an issue for a little bit, and do what you need to do, right? Whether that's shopping early for Christmas, or whether that's saying, you know what, maybe when I order toilet paper from Amazon, I get it 2 weeks earlier and say, right, just assume it's going to take you longer to get stuff. And if you're throwing a Halloween party, don't assume you can order on October 28th and get all the stuff in that you need in time for that, right? Like you got to have to plan in advance, assume there's going to be some delays, and there might be some delays, and just adapt. We had a whole year last year where we did nothing but adapt to the new situation. I think we can adapt to this. It just requires a recognition of reality, and then, taking the proper steps based on that.
Yeah, just be flexible, right? Be kind. I think that's a big thing. We need to be kind to the folks in retail that are just. Yeah,
they can't control if there's nothing coming off the trucks. It's not, what are they going to do?
Right.
That's it.